Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on with my November project for Helmar. And so for this month, I'd like to try and recycle some CDs and make a wall hanging to hang in my house. And I think I will try and make it so that I can add a couple of photos of people who are very dear to me in there. So we will give it a go and see what we can come up with. So I have 3 CDs here that I want to use, and I have used I think it's a 3/4 inch round punch there that I'm using to punch out some vellum shapes. And I'm doing this so I can stick them over the top of the hole in the middle of the CDs. I just thought that that might reinforce it a little bit so that when I'm adding my paper, I don't stick my fat fingers through there. So I'm just using the 450 glue there, the quick dry adhesive, to stick my vellum down on top, and I'm sticking my little circles on both sides of my CDs. So I'm aiming to do a vintage style wall hanging here. It's not my usual thing to do, but I do like to try different things, as you probably know if you've been watching me for a while. Not very good at any of it, but I'll give it a go. So again, I'm using the 450 here to apply my paper layers to my CD. So this will be the back of the CD that I'm doing at the moment, and I'm just putting some tea-dyed paper on the back. We won't be seeing much of the back, so it doesn't really matter, but I thought I'd cover them anyway. So I just repeat that process with the 3 CDs. Then of course I've got to chop them out. It's easier to chop it out at this stage in the circle shape and then stick the front paper on than to stick it both on and then try and chop it out. So just going around as neatly as I can. And then I'll flip it over and cut any bits that look like they're sticking out a bit too much. Now, when I've finished covering the front and back of all my CDs, I do go out into the carport and spray the front and back with some of the Crystal Coat fixative. It's workable matte. It just protects the paper a bit, but also allow me to add any further mediums over the top if I want. So now I want to cover the front, and this first piece of paper I have is tea-dyed also, but it's one that's been tea-dyed with one of your plastic tablecloths. So it's got that beautiful pattern on it that you will see when I flip it over. And I thought that would look really nice on one of these. Then I've got my tacky glue there in my little applicator bottle. That's great for doing these little fine details if some of the edge bits lift up at all. And of course I've got to chop around that one. I think I'm going to have these wall hangings hanging in every room just to get through my CDs. And I really enjoy making this. So now I'm just measuring where it's about 6 centimetres across at the top of the CD there, and putting a dot at the 2 centimetre and 4 centimetre mark. I'm doing that because I want to punch some holes there to put something in so I can hang it later on. And I thought that would be the easiest way to do it. So now we've got to cover the fronts of our other 2 CDs, and for that I have this hymnal paper. So it's very old, brittle hymnal. I've chosen particular papers that help remind me of the people that are in the photos that I'm actually putting on this as well. So it has some sentimental meaning to me. So for this one, I'm using some of your antique sort of German text. So pretty, that text. Now it doesn't cover the whole CD, but it doesn't matter because we'll be covering up the rest of it later. So here I'm using my punch I think it's a leather punch, to punch the holes in, and it actually was really easy to go through the CD. It just sort of gets stuck on there afterwards and you've got to wiggle it off. Your crocodile probably work really well too, but I thought I'd use this because if it did break it, it wouldn't matter too much. But no, it went through fine. I was really surprised at how easy it was. So now I want to ink just around the edges of the front, especially of my CDs. Then I'm measuring, it's about 5 centimetres, and I'm measuring in the middle there to put a hole, and that's going to be the bottom CD, so we can dangle something from the bottom. So I do that before I add any of my other embellishments. So now I've got some texture paste and a stencil, and I want to add some texture paste to my the German text page. Just figuring out which way I want to place my stencil. It has roses on a rose pattern, which is another sentimental thing that reminds me of the person that I'll be adding to this CD. So I'm using my palette knife there to get some texture paste out and then spreading it on a bit like it's cream cheese. It's a bit of a fiddly stencil, that one, because some of the little bits have lifted, so I've got to be very careful with it. So once I've finished this, I do leave it overnight to dry properly before I go forward. So next I want to get some colour onto the texture paste. So I've put the stencil back over where the texture paste is, and I'm using my distress ink there with my blending brush and just applying the colour. I did put a lighter colour of ink on, but it just didn't come out the way I wanted it. I thought a dark ink would look better, so I'm going over it again with the ground espresso ink, and that works out a lot better. So now it's time to make some pockets for my CDs. So I have this, it's like curtain lace or a tablecloth lace, and I'm just adhering that. I put firstly a bit of the tacky glue down just to basically tack it down. It'll just hold it in place for me while I stick it down properly. And I did trace around the CD, leaving that extra length of the lace so that I can fold it behind to stick it down. Just use my Sharpie pen to do the tracing. And this is going to be the CD that'll be in the middle of my wall hanging, and I'm attaching that to broderie anglaise in the same manner, just tacking it down a bit to make it easier for me. I didn't want to put a lot of glue on this side in case it bled through the fabric. So it's basically just there to hold it in place while I turn it over and stick it down properly on the other side. So I decided to snip little cuts into it just to help me fold it over a bit neater. is a bit bulky. This is a broderie anglaise, so I do cut it back a little bit and then re-snip around the circular part. I do that for the lace also, and it just helps me fold all the bits over. So I then grab my fabric glue. Now that's going to hold the fabric really nicely at the back here. And it doesn't matter if we can see it through the lace or anything, because we won't be seeing the back. It holds it down so well. And because we put the snips in, we can just go piece by piece and sort of cross them over the previous piece, and it folds a lot nicer. So that's a pocket for my bottom CD done. Now the broderie anglaise I ended up tea dyeing as well, and that gave it that beautiful colour. So I'm sticking that down in the same manner, just folding it over as I go. I've got another smaller piece there that I want to put over the top to layer it. It also creates another little tuck spot or pocket for me. So I do add some of the tacky glue, but I very quickly realised that the fabric on fabric does not stick with the tacky glue. And it was just to hold it there to make it easier while I flip it over. But in the end, I just get it where I want it and flip it over and then stick it down with the fabric glue, which holds it really well. Just determined to try and get it on somewhat straight. So you can see on the one side there's only a tiny little bit hanging over, but the fabric glue does so well at holding that for us. Now grab some grease-proof paper to help me press it down, because I'm getting glue on my fingers and then it's pulling the fabric back up. So I like using the grease-proof paper to help me press things down sometimes. Now you could finish the backs off a lot neater by adding some felt or some more fabric or something, but I just didn't worry about it. They will be up against the wall, so you won't really see them. So now I want to embellish my pocket here. So I've found some scraps of lace that I have and some little applique pieces. The majority of what I'm using for this project is recycled or from the secondhand shops. It's just a couple of new pieces. Now I've got the grease-proof paper tucked down into the pocket as well, so that the glue doesn't seep through and stick a pocket closed. basically just dotting the fabric glue on the little pieces. Takes me forever to think of where I want to put everything. Layering is not my strong point. I'm hoping I'll get better with practice. Now I have some letters that spell the word memories, which I want to add to the first CD. And I have given them a quick coat of white gesso, and now I want to paint them with some distress ink. I did try painting some on previously and spraying some distress oxide on, but it wouldn't sort of stick to the letters, so I did need to put the base coat of gesso on. So this will be a distressed look. It will be patchy and everything, but that's sort of what I'm looking for. I could have gone with the acrylics and given it a total coverage, but I didn't really want that look, so I end up letting it dry and then giving it a second coat. I think I'm using the Ground Espresso for this. So I just put gesso on the front of the letters, and same with the painting, just on the front, because the edges are darkened already. So now I want to stick some lace on this middle pocket CD, and I have this that come off of a tablecloth, I think, these pieces. And they're a bit whiter on the other side, so I just ran over them with my blending tool and some ink just to darken them up a bit. And of course it's a rose. Well, I think it's a rose anyway. It's a bit hard to tell. And that's all the decorating for that CD done. Now I need to stick my letters down, so I've gone back to using the 450. That'll hold them on really nicely. And I've already figured out placement, which took me forever. So just running a line of glue along the letter, and then I'll hold it down for a few seconds to let it get tacky. And then when I place the next letter down, I do go back and apply pressure to the letter beforehand as well, just to make sure it sticks down nicely. And then just repeat that process down the line of letters. think we've got lace pieces from a shirt, got some from tablecloths. I get them from everywhere. Now I've got a bit of linen that we're going to use to join all our CDs together. So I turn the CD over and lie the linen on it and trace where I want it to be, so I know where to put the glue to get it sort of centralised. So I'm sticking down the middle CD first. I thought that would be the easiest way of getting it placed correctly. Just laying it on top of the linen, turn it over and press it down. So it's tea-dyed linen that I had here. So I'll do the bottom CD next. So figuring out where I want it placed. And tip it over and draw lines so I know where to put the glue. Put some greaseproof paper down just so I don't stick it to my desk. That would be a dilemma. You can see when I lift it up, it's already holding it quite well. And then we have to do the same for our top CD. Just got to remember that I've turned it upside down now to put my CD on the right way. I use a ruler just to try and get all the CDs lined up. So that's our hanger basically put together. So now we want the topper to hang it with. So I've got some tea-dyed seam binding there, and I'm just threading it through from the back, through both the holes there. And then I'll just tie a knot up the top. So now it can be hung. Now we've got to add our gorgeous photos. They are photos of my grandmothers. And they're very dear to me, and they're just beautiful pictures. And this is just such a great way to showcase them. So now I've got some broken jewellery there, and I found a little butterfly from some other broken jewellery, and I'm just using a jump ring here to insert through that bottom hole that we made. which is very fiddly. It only just fit through there. I could only just close it up. But I got there in the end. Put the jump ring through and then attach my dangle, and then I just need to close the jump ring back up, which was easier said than done. I did want a butterfly on the project, and so I managed to get one. So that's my November project for Helmar. Absolutely loved the way it turned out. Such a lovely way to display these photos and to recycle a whole lot of stuff as well. So to turn that into that, I think, is a great idea. So I hope you'll give it a go. Now, I used the Crystal Coat Fixative Workable Matte to spray the CDs with the paper on before I embellished, just to add that bit of a coating. So, and also because it's workable matte, you can go back over it, like with the texture paste and the distress ink in that. So, and then I did use the fabric glue to apply all my lace pieces and to adhere the pockets down. I also used a bit of my tacky glue, just if any bits on the edges lift up. It's a great way to do the fine details and that, and just to tack my pockets down initially. I also used a stack of the 450 quick dry adhesive. That was great to attach my wooden pieces and my CDs to the backing fabric. So, and it holds really well. It's just beautiful. So massive thank you to Helmar for the awesome product. And please check out the blog, which is linked below. The other ladies do some awesome projects on there each month as well. So I shall be on with another project for Helmar in December, which is going to be a busy but heaps fun month. If you have any questions at all about the glues, Helmar's website will be linked down below, so you can go there and look at the product if you're interested, but they're also very happy to answer any questions that you may have. So take care of yourselves, be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.